Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Marysville Tulalip Chamber of Commerce Business Before Hours event. I would like to do a quick plug for a new program we're offering at the Chamber for our members, the membership orientation. So we are starting these April 23rd, and this is for new members and existing members to get an in-depth information on utilizing your chamber benefits. A lot of people, when they join, they get the list and they see all these different perks and benefits that they get to have, and then forget about them about a month later and don't realize until about 6 to 8 months later, when they've got a big event coming, that they could have had us help plan it, put it together. And I just want to make sure that you guys know how much we're here to help you. And so we're going to be offering these. It's only 1 hour. On April 23rd, we'll have an 11 o'clock one in the morning, and we'll have a 4 o'clock one in the afternoon. And all attendees receive a ticket to the next Business Before Hours event, and it's courtesy. So it's a great event to go to. So now let's go ahead and get ourselves kicked off for a great program this morning with our chairman of the board, Dama Moore.
Good morning and happy Friday, everybody. There you go. There's someone who's had his coffee. Yeah, well, looking forward to it. Looking forward to the weekend, let's put it that way. So, I'm here to start out with some of the introductions, and I wanted to welcome everybody as well. Thank you, Jessica, for the introduction as well. And so, opening up with the elected officials, I'd like to introduce them, and if you will, please wave when you're introduced, and we'll hold the applause until after all have been introduced. I do not see Mayor John Nearing here. Councilmember Mark James is here. There he is. And Councilmember Tom King. Oh, there he is as well. Thank you very much. Please join me in welcoming them as elected officials. And I did not see if we had any of the elected officials from the Tulalip tribes as well, but certainly want to say thank you for their hospitality here at the cabaret, at the Canoes Cabaret. Chamber board members, would like to introduce you as well. If you will, please wave. I know Jessica Stickles is here. Greg Kinahan, did I see him walk in? Kirsten Tyner, there you are. Good morning. Okay, and again, welcome board members as well. This morning, I'd also like to introduce our breakfast sponsor. Today's sponsor is Ideal Wellness. Please help me welcome Emily Countryman of Ideal Wellness to the stage.
Good morning. My name's Emily Countryman, and I'm the owner of Ideal Wellness. We are a weight loss and wellness center. We have 5 locations throughout Western Washington. The closest one here is Smoky Point, but we also have Mill Creek, Lake Stevens, Bellingham, and Paulsbo. And I think they're working on my slide. We had a little technical difficulties. I had a really great video I was going to show you today. But if you want to go look it up later, it's called The Last 10 Years. It's only 1 minute, so it won't take too much time out of your day. But today I want to talk to you about our workplace wellness programs that we offer. Do you know if my slide's going? Well, I'll just talk about it without the slides. We offer workplace wellness for all different shapes and sizes of companies. The stats are that about 90% of companies now do offer some form of workplace wellness. However, what we specialize in is the weight loss. Oh, here we go. We specialize in the weight loss piece of that, which a lot of companies are missing. There we go. So there's our 5 locations. And then this is that video, so if you could look that up later. Like I said, it's called The Last 10 Years, and it's a short 1-minute video on YouTube. so back to the show. The statistics right now is that 70% of Americans are overweight, and these are always done in big, grandiose numbers, but I wanted to put it on perspective of what it would look like for your company. So let's say we took an organization with just 27 people. That would be 19 people that were overweight. And so you may think, okay, well, that's their issue, that's a personal issue. I know weight loss can be extremely personal, but what that really looks like in the big numbers is that obesity is costing American companies over $4.3 billion, with a B, dollars a year. So if that was your company, would say 10 or 20 or 1,000 employees, that's a very, very big impact. It affects absenteeism, over 10 times more absent for the employees that are overweight, and it affects productivity. Productivity is down. Whoops. So what is the solution when we already have a wellness program in place, but it's really not helping us with that absenteeism and that productivity? Is that's where we come in. We have a solution with a repeatable, predictable program that works, and we actually have an amazing case study to show that. We had a hospital participate in our program. They had 233 employees and patients do 12 weeks of our program. 86% were compliant, which is a giant number. You'd think, oh, why not 100? But you can really never get 100% of people to be compliant on anything, really. So I think 86 is a fantastic number. So what they found after that was that 15%, they had an overall 15% weight reduction, and they also found significant improvements in lowering blood pressure, lowering the blood sugar, the A1C levels were much better, improving cholesterol numbers. So not only looking at a healthier workforce that is now present more often and more productive, they found massive savings and health improvements just on that. So dollars-wise, and this is after 3 years. So they did this study, and then they continued to look at it for 3 years. So we still had a group of 86% that had kept the weight off and continued to participate in the ongoing coaching pieces of the program. So they found that they had an average per year of $916 healthcare savings per employee, which is a really big number. So if you looked at that for your company, let's say it's the 27 people, and we had, of the 19, let's even use these numbers, 86 were doing it compliantly. That's $14,671 savings per year just on the healthcare claims, not to mention, like I said, the increased productivity, happier, healthier workforce. It's really, a company cannot afford not to implement programs like this. So what I would ask for you today is to be your office hero and bring in a program like this that works. Add it to your existing wellness plan. You can do that by coming up to us today. We have a table over here, and I know Katie passed out a little bit of information as well, but just sign up for a company wellness assessment. All we'll do is we'll just look at what your company looks like, what you're already offering, and how we can help add this to you, and it's at absolutely no cost to you, the employer. Some companies do choose to incentivize their employees, but by no means do all of them do that. Some employees just reap the benefits of the corporate rates that we offer when the companies implement these. So just some of the values to your organization, there's the healthcare savings, like I said, almost $1,000 per person per year. That's huge. Improved quality of care for the employees, happier, healthier, more motivated. Higher employee retention rates when companies implement workplace wellness, which is huge because employee retention is definitely a priority for most of us. And then the value for the employee is the improved quality of life. Like I mentioned, the blood pressure was improved, A1C was reduced. We see many, many, many type 2 diabetic clients that start the program that are usually off their insulin and off their metformin at the end, which is a huge win. Reduced risk for the other chronic diseases, the high blood pressure, the high cholesterol, anything really in those metabolic syndrome parameters. And of course, the lowered premiums and medical costs, which everyone loves, spending less on all of those for sure. So What I would ask, like I said, is to come sign up to do a workplace wellness assessment with us, and it's totally free to your organization. It just takes a few minutes. Either we can come to you or we can do it via phone or email, and we can just help you add these missing pieces, because like I said, 90% of companies already offer workplace wellness. They're just missing that weight loss component, which is what we specialize in. We also offer the coaching, the education, the tools. We have an entire program to help, so it's completely turnkey. Once you offer it to your employees, they can just come as they want, or we can come in and do a big group. A lot of companies love to do a challenge together. That usually really motivates the employees to do it. So we have all of the tools and all of the support for that. So like I said, you could schedule the assessment with us. My information is up there. I'm Emily Countryman. I'm usually the one that does the workplace wellness stuff, and then we have a group at all of our different locations. We have about a little over a dozen certified health coach and weight loss coaches. So you have a good team behind you when you're offering this workplace wellness to your employees. So thank you.
Thank you, Emily. This is one of the big advantages of being a sponsor for the event, is that you get to actually get up here, talk a little bit about your business, and probably, in my opinion, one of the best things to do is to inform. And I think this is a great way for sponsors to do this. We have a couple of options for those of you interested in the business before our sponsorship. You can give, as Emily demonstrated, the 5-minute presentation. There's company recognition on all marketing and mailouts. Your presentation is recorded and shown on cable channels 21 and 25 throughout the following month. So if you are interested, please contact Ann. So we'll get to the heart of today's presentation. I'd like to introduce to you today Lisa Jing, with our founder of the CEO of Energy at Work, a consulting and training organization dedicated to transforming the workplace into an environment where people are their whole and best selves. Lisa specializes in an integrated whole person approach to employee well-being as a cornerstone of company culture. Yeah, easy for you to say. As a certified stress educator, Lisa uses the latest innovations in the field of applied neuroscience to help business professionals. She is a certified corporate wellness specialist and a popular speaker at corporate and industry events. Lisa is recognized as a thought leader in health and wellness solutions in the corporate sector. As a founding member on Cisco's award-winning employee health initiative, Lisa developed strategies and implemented programs to enhance the well-being of families and employees and their families. Her passion is to bring more spirit to the workplace through organizational culture change and groundbreaking programs which foster integration of mind, body, and spirit. To facilitate adoption of whole person approach, Lisa created the Diamond Model of Integrated Health and Well-Being, which is a distinctive conceptual and structural framework for designing strategic well-being initiatives. Lisa holds an MA in Counseling Psychology from Loyola Marymount University and a BA in Psychology from the University of California, San Diego. Her career portfolio includes clinical counseling, healthcare marketing, technical recruiting, leadership coaching, corporate training, business consulting, and human resources. She is a contributing author to the best-selling Adventures in Manifesting series. Here today to talk about stress, something none of us can relate to, is Lisa Jing. Please join me in welcoming Lisa.
Good morning, everyone. How many of you are experiencing a lot of stress in your life. With your ability to perform in very important areas of your life. Well, stress is no stranger to anyone, and you are not alone. We are experiencing a stress epidemic globally. We're seeing this across all sectors, all age groups, from our business population, which you are very well familiar with, as well as our children, and even the elderly. Many of us feel a lot of pressure to do more with less and to carry an unreasonable amount of obligations and responsibilities while we're striving to have a balanced life filled with meaning and purpose. How many of you can relate to that? I can imagine. You as well as the employees in your organizations. Well, welcome to Stress Mastery, your brain on stress and what you can do about it. I'm Lisa Jing, founder of Synergy at Work, and as I was introduced, my focus is on organizations and what employers can do to create healthy, happy, productive workplaces where people can truly be their best selves and give their gifts and talents in a meaningful way. I specialize in psychological health and safety in the workplace, and I'm really thrilled to be here today to share with you a new approach to stress. And I want to take a moment here and thank Jessica for inviting me in. This approach, Stress Mastery, was developed through a collaboration between the American Institute of Stress and Dr. Heidi Hanna, who is a leading researcher, author, and educator in the area of the neuroscience of stress. So I want to give a shout out and thank Dr. Hanna for her fabulous work in this area. So for today, what we're going to spend our brief morning time together here is making a distinction between stress mastery and stress management. Now that might seem just like semantics, but it really represents a very different way of approaching stress. We'll take a look at the neuroscience behind stress. What's going on in the brain as we're experiencing stress in our lives? And how we can optimize our natural tendencies, what nature has sort of programmed us to do, to experience more positive outcomes. Next, we'll look at acute versus chronic stress. And this is a really important differentiation for us to make, particularly due to the implications for our well-being and performance when we really kind of tease apart what's acute, what is chronic. And then most importantly, we'll explore the opportunity for us to move from automatically reacting to stressful situations to more consciously responding, and therefore building a lot more resilience for ourselves as individuals and for our organizations overall. So with that as our program going forward, let's take a look at some of the statistics around stress. Research shows us that 75 to 90% of medical visits are stress-related. Now this means the full gamut from problematic symptoms like gastrointestinal distress, headaches, low back pain, to more worrisome conditions like anxiety, hypertension, all the way through to chronic disease like diabetes, cardiovascular disease, even cancer. So we need to really be paying attention to this, and it is a business issue. It's a very strategic business issue. We see that chronic stress costs the U.S. business economy approximately $600 billion annually. And this includes both the direct costs like hospitalizations, pharmaceuticals, tests, doctor's visits, hospitalizations, all of that, all the way through to the indirect costs in lost productivity, which we call presenteeism. And one of the most alarming statistics out there is that we now see that depression is the leading cause of disability at work. It used to be cardiovascular disease, but now depression has actually passed that by, and that's of huge concern to us as individuals, for ourselves, for our families, and certainly for businesses as well. So I'm going to begin here by really making a distinction between stress mastery and stress management. What do we really mean by these two terms? Now, conventional thinking looks at stress as bad. So our traditional approaches with stress management have been to avoid stress, minimize stress, and eliminate stress as much as possible. And sometimes that's a very appropriate and necessary thing for us to do. But stress is not going to be going away anytime soon. That's not likely in our society where technology allows us to be always wired, always on, 24/7, 365. So learning to master stress is probably a better way to approach it. Because in mastering stress, we are using the information that our bodies and brains are giving us in a more conscious way to make more positive decisions. So in looking at mastery over management, we are putting ourselves in a more empowered situation. So when we use the word stress, which is rampant, we use stress constantly and it means many different things. What do we actually mean by stress? What's the definition? I skipped over too fast. The classic definition of stress is the nonspecific response to a perceived threat. Now, this is a definition that was given to us by one of the pioneers in stress research, Hans Selye, back in the 1960s and 70s. But this definition doesn't tell us much about what's really going on inside of our bodies and brains or how we can navigate stress more effectively. It's much more helpful to be thinking about stress as what happens when demand exceeds capacity. We all have multiple demands on us, and those demands can be in our personal lives, with family and community. It can be at work, certainly. It can also be demands that are put upon our physiology through our environment. So things like pollution and toxic chemicals that are in all of our products and it seems to be proliferating everywhere. So all the different kinds of demands that are put on our systems and what kind of capacity we actually have to cope effectively in a healthy manner with them. And we also know that stress is really based on our experience, on how the particular factors in our lives are affecting us. It's our relationship with stress that's most important. So when we think about stress, stress really has kind of two sides. One is stress as an energizing force, and then stress as an exhausting force. When we think of stress as energizing, we often think of high-performance situations like Olympic athletes or a concert pianist right before they go on stage or a public speaker. Imagine that. And when stress is experienced as energizing, it helps create motivation, it helps improve focus, and actually helps improve performance. More often, though, in today's world, we experience stress that goes on too long or is too intense as exhausting. And when it's exhausting, through the grind of our daily work responsibilities, the common experience of traffic, caretaking, competing obligations in our personal and professional lives, then it can be a real problem. So how many of you have had the experience of stress being an energizer, where it really helped you focus and improve your performance? Yeah, we all have, particularly in a professional situation. And how many of you have experienced stress as exhausting, where it just drains you, saps the life out of you? Yeah. So we have the experience of both. And both of those, it's really a continuum. Whether we feel energized or exhausted by stress depends on how the brain is perceiving the experiences that we're having and how much capacity we have to cope and adjust in positive ways. And a lot of our experience with stress has to do with what we call our relationship with stress. And we have sort of three different factors that affect our relationship with stress. The first is our stress load. The stress load is basically our personal equation of demand versus capacity. How much do we have on our plate? That's what we mean by, our stress load. How much are we trying to cram into one day? What does our schedule look like? And it's not just those tasks, but it's how much energy is required to perform well. And it might not just be tasks, it's those other areas that require energy as well, like our relationships, the energy put into creativity, those kinds of things as well. Next is our stress lens, and the lens is our perception. This is our mindset, our attitude, how we think about stress. And it also includes our unconscious biases. So a lot of what we're experiencing is unconscious, yet our physiology is still responding. And then the third part of this relationship with stress is what we call our stress signature. And the stress signature is how our unique body is responding. What do we feel? What are we sensing in our own body systems? So each of us, all these aspects, our stress load, our stress lens, and our stress signature are unique to each of us. And the more clearly that we can understand our relationship with stress, the better we can make adjustments so that we can use stress to fuel positive change instead of letting it burn us out or break us down. So you've probably heard the term the stress response. When we think of the stress response, the words, the terms fight or flight often come to our awareness. And that would certainly apply in a situation where you're being chased by a wild animal. In our primitive beginnings as a species, our bodies developed a very effective stress response where we got a huge infusion of hormones that helped mobilize our muscles and our brains to respond quickly, to run away and seek safety. So most of us are familiar with that experience of, fight or flight. Let me ask you kind of a basic question here, which we often don't really think about. What is the purpose of our brain? We have this incredible technology called the human brain, and it does a lot for us. What is its basic function? Any ideas? You are a very educated audience. Most people say thinking, yes. Problem solving, yes. Organizing all of our body systems, yes. And at the very foundation of it, the brain's primary function is to keep us safe and to ensure our survival. So in the more primitive days, survival meant fleeing from a real physical threat, wild animal that wants to have us for dinner. In our more modern world, threats are more psychosocial or emotional stress, interpersonal conflict, too many demands on our time. Those are the kinds of threats that we experience most often. And it's the kind of threat that is of greatest concern to us as individuals and as business owners and working inside organizations as part of teams and part of group efforts. So as we realize that this fight or flight response often is a huge part of our experience, we should be aware of that there are also other types of stress reactions, which you don't hear about as much, but are very much a part of our physiology. And so I'm going to spend a little bit of time talking about those. So another way that our body will respond in the experience of stress is freeze or faint. How many of you have ever heard of that response, the freeze or faint response? Okay. So this is a few of you, great. So freeze or faint tends to be driven more by cortisol. And that's the hormone that often is triggered when stress goes on for a while, more long-term or chronic type of stress. We also have another type of reaction, which is called tend and befriend. And this is common in what we call a female brain pattern. There are clusters of behaviors and experiences that tend to be more female brain pattern or male brain pattern. Now, we all have experiences from both of those, and not all males have the male brain pattern, not all females have the female brain pattern. But there are clusters that, when we look at them together, actually can predict our behavior. And so tend and befriend tends to be part of the female brain response, and that's the tendency to congregate, to provide social support to others that are experiencing stress, or to seek out the support of others when we are stressed. So all of these are sometimes called responses, but actually they're reactions. A reaction is an automatic. You don't think about it. You just automatically have that trigger and reaction. Responding is a higher brain function. And what we do with stress mastery is focus on enabling the brain, making it easier for the brain to operate in a higher capacity, which gives us choice in the moment and the opportunity to interrupt the automatic reactions that are basically programmed into our bodies from antiquity, and become much more conscious in the moment and respond more in a healthful fashion. So one of the ways that we do respond to stress, or rather the recovery from stress, is what we call rest and digest. This is actually the only one that is a true response. So rest and digest happens when we are able to calm ourselves in the moment, when we are able to distance ourselves, check in, and able to, well, it's actually not distance, it's really more reconnect, to take a step back and observe ourselves, and then intervene and help ourselves to relax, cope, and rest. There are also two types of stress. Now, you're probably familiar with these terms, acute and chronic. Acute meaning short term, a reaction in the moment. So in antiquity, it would be the wild animal. In today's society, it might be the person who cut you off on the freeway as you're driving into work. You don't expect it to happen, but when it does, immediately you jump into action, you respond appropriately, and you avoid an accident most often. So this is an acute type of stress. And acute stress lasts just a few minutes, really just a few minutes, anywhere from maybe 4 to 6 minutes. Beyond that, it becomes more chronic stress. So in the acute phase, we see these kinds of responses in our bodies. Remember that acute stress is basically immediate survival stress, usually from something that is a serious threat to us, particularly a physical threat. So increase in adrenaline, our heart rate increases, our blood pressure rises. All of those are to enable our physical bodies to run or escape, the fight or flight, so to speak. Our immune function is actually enhanced, our memory, and our thinking and focus. When you think about in the moment, if you're faced with an acute stress situation, you got to be able to act and think quickly. And so this is what we are literally wired to do. We also become very hypersensitive to our environment. So we are aware of anything that we might need to do in the moment for our safety. When we are in a chronic stress situation, now this is where stress goes on, it's either too intense or it goes on for a long time. We see different reactions in our bodies. The hormone cortisol is the primary agent acting here, and we see cardiovascular stress. Glucose is stored as fat, and this is part of the problem with weight management. I'm sure that Emily would agree that when we are producing a lot of cortisol, we tend to store fat rather than burn it. And we have a decrease in our immune function. We become more susceptible to illness. Our memory is impaired. And we lose our focus. We become much more distracted. We're unable to concentrate. We lose our creativity, and we become desensitized to stress. Now, this is what we call becoming numb. So once chronic becomes the new normal, and I'm using that facetiously, that's when we are in real danger, because our bodies are not designed to be in chronic stress for prolonged periods. We are designed to sprint. We are not designed to do marathons. That's our entire physiology is designed for action, recovery, action, recovery. And if we are not recovering, then we are placing ourselves at risk for chronic stress. We see that chronic stress, which is basically long-term unmanaged stress, not only does it lead to the physical and experiential things that we mentioned earlier, it also tends to impair our judgment. So when we're tired, when we're exhausted, we start to make bad choices around eating habits. Perhaps we are carbo-loading. Perhaps we are using substances, alcohol or other drugs. Perhaps we are just too tired to get off of the sofa, and so we're no longer getting the exercise, which is really essential to our health and well-being. So right when we need it most, we feel least motivated to go out and move our bodies. And we also might, from more of a psychological and emotional standpoint, we might be much more inclined when we have long-term unmanaged stress to isolate ourselves. You know, we just don't have the energy to interact with people, either personally or professionally. And all of those unhealthy behaviors contribute to the problem. So not only does our nervous system become stuck in these negative patterns, we tend to use unhealthy behaviors to cope temporarily. We try to cope temporarily. And you know, we add to our own situation. Now it's important to note that stress is not all bad. Stress is actually necessary. If we didn't have stress in our lives, we wouldn't learn, we wouldn't create, we wouldn't solve problems. We couldn't perform. Life would be insipid if we had no stress at all. So this is what we call the pressure and performance curve. There is an optimal amount of stress that helps us be and feel our best. So, oops, it didn't turn. There we go. So when we have too little stress, we tend to feel lethargic. We are bored. We are uninspired. As stress increases, we start to move into motivation and then focused performance. As we reach to the peak there's that optimal amount where stress motivates us, gets us into action, and gives us the fuel and energy that we need. If it goes on too long or is too intense, then we move to the other side of the curve. Fatigue sets in, exhaustion, and if it continues on, it will lead to emotional and physical ailments like panic, anxiety, even depression. You can become depressed from having too much stress, and then eventually disease. So, how do we move from these automatic reactions? How do we shift from automatic reactions to stress into more conscious responses to stress? We do that by applying the stress mastery formula, which is basically 3 stages: assess, appreciate, and adjust. So the good news is that once we understand how stress is trying to help us and we identify better patterns of reacting and responding, we can adjust in more beneficial ways. Basically, we have choice. So this formula of assess, appreciate, and adjust is a system. It's not steps where you move through sequentially. It's more stages. So we can move forward or backward in this process at any time. So quick review, what we talked about earlier. Whenever we think about stress, we need to consider our relationship stress through our stress load, the demand versus capacity going on in our current circumstances, our stress lens, our mindset, our attitude and perceptions, and our stress signature, how stress actually shows up in our bodies and our experience. So let's look first at stress load. This is what we call our energy capacity chart. From a physical standpoint, so this chart basically is addressing physical types of stressors. We have our maximum energy at about age 30. Now, this chart is based upon this is an untrained kind of body, about 30. So that's probably not good news for a lot of the people in the room. What the good news there is that we can change this by training our bodies, by training our brains, by building recovery into our daily habits. We're able to impact this. But if we look just at this chart, we have energy peaking, and then over the course of our lifetime, generally the demand in our lives increases. We have families, we have careers, we have community commitments and obligations. And so our load increases generally over time until the very latter stages of our lives for most of us. So this is something to be very aware of. If demand exceeds capacity and we are not recovering, then we are truly setting ourselves up for long-term chronic stress. So real quick here, we're going to do a quick assessment. So I hope you have something to write on, or perhaps you might use your smartphone or a tablet if you have that with you. Let's do a real quick assessment of your capacity. Basically, we have resources available to us in our energy, our time, money, social support, and our sense of meaning and purpose. So for each of you, take a moment, I'll give you about a half a minute, and rate yourself on each of these different resources, where on a scale of 0 to 10, where 0 equals completely depleted. You have no capacity in that area right now. And 10 equals an abundance of capacity, where you are very well resourced in that particular area. So take about a half a minute and just jot down a number for yourself in each of these 5 areas. Okay, begin wrapping up. Just a quick estimate is all you need to do right now. Okay, so now that you have a number next to each of those resources, add up your score, get a total, and then multiply it by 2. And so basically now you have a percentage out of 100 possible points. You have a percentage of capacity, at least in this moment. So this numerical value is your stress load. Next, let's take a look at your stress lens and a little bit about what's going on with the brain right now, or what's going on with your brain when you are experiencing stress. So the stress lens is based upon your perception of the information that you're receiving, what the information when you're experiencing a stress reaction. It's important to note that the brain is hardwired in a way that prioritizes information in a very specific hierarchy, starting with sensing, moving to feeling, and then thinking. And it corresponds, I think I'll use this if I can, I actually can do that from here. So all of our sensory information comes into the brain through the brain stem. And in that part of the brain, basically what the brain is assessing is sensory information, all the sounds, all of the sights, the sensations, the tastes, feelings, all of that, and trying to quickly ascertain, am I safe? That is the brain stem's primary job, is to assess whether we're safe, either physically safe or, in our more modern world, are we psychosocially safe? And it's interesting to note that in each of these areas, as we go through from the brainstem to the midbrain to the higher brain, the speed of processing slows down. So the brainstem actually processes the sensory information faster than the next level of the brain. So information comes in from the body into the brainstem, and then from the brainstem into the midbrain, where we have our limbic system. And our limbic system is responsible for moderating all of our emotions. We sometimes refer to as the emotional brain. And the emotional brain processes the neural impulses a little bit slower, just tiny, fractions of nanoseconds slower, but it does make a difference in how we experience stress and what happens in our behavior. After the emotional brain processing, then the signal goes up into the higher brain, our neocortex. This is what we think of mostly as the human brain. This is what distinguishes us from, all other animals, or most distinguishes us from all other animals, as far as our ability to reason, problem solve, think, and be uniquely creative. So when signals come in, if we're not feeling safe a lot of the time, our emotions are going to be impacted, and it can actually impede the ability of the impulses to get to the higher brain, where thinking can modulate our behavior. So it's important to kind of know, as we're going through, any experience that we have, stress or otherwise, is always being processed in this hierarchy. So if we are not feeling safe, or perceiving that we're in a chaotic or uncontrollable situation, our brain can actually get hijacked into reactions rather than responses. So the key is, how do we calm ourselves down to be able to allow processing to get to our higher brain, where we can actually intervene. So we're going to watch a short video. Okay, so if we had the audio track, what you notice is that it was the same video, shown twice. In the first segment, the music was very dissonant, very chaotic, and basically put you on edge, kind of the nails on the chalkboard kind of experience. In the second segment, it was beautiful classical music. So if you can kind of remember, it's the same images: street traffic, people dancing, construction workers, buses whizzing by, skateboarders, all these different things that we see on a regular basis. When the soundtrack is dissonant, loud, unpleasant, blaring, it affects our anatomy. It affects how our brain and our emotions and our thinking are impacted. When it's calming, graceful, melodic, it makes a huge difference in our perception. And so that last statement, we experience the world based upon our emotions. And that is absolutely key. When we can help ourselves into a more positive emotional state, we are able to function much more effectively. And our experience, our sense of well-being, is enhanced as well. So the third area of our relationship with stress is the stress signature. And I mentioned earlier, this is how we actually respond, our unique physical response. So it might be, when we are stressed, that you notice that you get a tightness in your forehead, or low back pain, or your stomach gets upset. When you have a response, your body is telling you that there's something to pay attention to. So here are some questions for you to kind of think about. We're not going to take a time to do this as an exercise, but it's something that you can kind of think about over the rest of the day. For you, what is the first sign that you've got too much stress? It might be, as I mentioned before, it might be that you have low back pain, or you feel jittery, or sometimes you just really can't focus. And if it continues on, what are the symptoms that start to show up for you when stress goes on for too long? So I'll use myself as an example. One of my first signs of stress is in my neck and shoulders. I feel it there, and it's just something that I can become aware of. If it continues on, my fingers start to tingle. And that's probably because as the tension in my neck and shoulders gets tighter, it literally impedes the neural impulses to my hands and starts the tingling. So that's an example for me. Each one of us has a series of things that develop in us, and we're probably very familiar with our own experiences. So I would ask you to become even more aware. Write it down. Become much more conscious of how stress progresses through your physiology. And very important, what has been most helpful for you in recharging and resetting in the moment? Oftentimes, it's just taking a deep breath. One of the most effective ways, literally, is just to take a deep breath and to make the inhale usually about 5 seconds, and the exhale just a little bit longer. When we exhale, the duration of the exhale is a little longer than the inhale. It's actually more effective in calming our physiology and helping us to refocus. So now we can appreciate. Once we appreciate what stress is trying to tell us through our physiology, through our physical experience, through our emotional, through the thoughts going through our minds, then we are in a position to take that information and direct it in a more positive way. By stopping to appreciate our experience of stress, we actually recharge the brain with positive emotions. Just the act of sort of catching ourselves being stressed rather than immediately knee-jerk reaction, but actually saying, whoa, and allowing ourselves to feel the experience, not pushing it away, not trying to eliminate it, just noticing, just appreciating. We are putting ourselves in a healthier position, and it actually calms us down, just that act. Now we have the opportunity to adjust, to make a different choice rather than an automatic reaction. And we can think about ways that we personally recharge our own battery. As we think about how we can recharge, it's important to remember that the actions we take are going through the same processing in our brain that the stress reaction does. So it starts, So it starts in the brainstem, where we process our sensations, moves to the midbrain, where we process emotions, and then to the higher brain, where we can actually think about our behavior and choose more wisely. So these are some recharge interventions, certainly not an exhaustive list, and you all probably have certain things that you do that help you in the moment. So one of the things I want to point out that can be very helpful is when you notice where you are, what you're doing, what's happening that's causing the stress, you might want to choose an intervention, a recharge intervention, that uses a different type of activity. So for example, if you're feeling physically drained, just physically exhausted, maybe you've been on your feet all day, one thing you can do to recharge might be some type of activity that engages a different part of your brain, like maybe the emotional brain. You might listen to some relaxing music. Or if you just had a very emotionally volatile situation in interacting with a colleague or a family member, you might choose something that's more cognitive, like inspirational reading, or something that really stimulates the intellect. So think about what we call state changes as recharge interventions. And of course, any of those types of activities that you have personally found helpful in the past. Now just be applying them much more mindfully and strategically. So one last thing I want to talk about here quickly is with this notion of the energy timeline. So when we start our day in the morning, our energy tends to be lower and builds over the course of the day until finally we settle down for sleep. Now many of us, especially during our workday, stay around kind of at this higher level. And that's actually not healthy. We are meant to oscillate. We are not meant to flatline. If we're flatlining, that's a problem. If we're flatlining down here, we're dead. If we're flatlining up here, we're chronically stressed. So what we need to do is really think consciously about how do we build oscillation into our system. So we naturally oscillate through our heart rate, our body temperature, our blood glucose. We even oscillate when we sleep. Our physiology is changing during the different stages of sleep. So it's very important to consciously train yourself to oscillate throughout the day. So a way that I recommend there is through recharge rituals. Start your day, and success research shows again and again that the most successful people have very specific morning rituals to start the day. Oftentimes, it might be meditation, it might be some interesting reading, it might mean exercise, particularly stretching in the morning. The founder of this material, Dr. Heidi Hanna, when she talks about this topic, she shares her morning ritual, which always amuses me. So hers is the 3 M's: meditation, movement, and mirth. And she's a huge proponent, and I am as well, around the healing and rejuvenative power of humor in mirth. So think about something that you can do, maybe just about 10 to 15 minutes, and build it into your day. Literally put it on your calendar, your morning, what we call prime time, priming your brain for the activity of the day. And then at the end of the day, a similar wind down or prime time for sleep. So what can you do on a regular basis? My evening ritual is critical for me. So my evening ritual, my prime time for sleep, is stretching, slow stretching, really relaxing my body so I quickly and easily fall to sleep. Some gratitude. What am I grateful for? What happened during the day? Not only the wonderful things, but what were some of the challenges that came up for me, and expressing gratitude there. And then, sometimes listening to some soothing music. And of course, always build this wind down ritual, the priming for sleep, about 30 minutes before bedtime. Don't expect to be going, and then jump into bed and fall asleep. When you practice this, your body expects, and you actually program yourself so you wake up more quickly and you fall asleep more readily. And then throughout the day, build in about 3 specific rest periods. You should never sit longer than about 90 minutes. Absolute max. Don't sit any longer than 90 minutes. Now, how many of us often sit at our desks, eat lunch at our desks, and rarely get up until we realize, oh my gosh, I haven't gone to the bathroom in 5 hours? How many of you ever done that? Yeah. That is, gotta stop doing that. Gotta get out of that habit. Move your body, even if it's only for a few minutes. Take the stairs, park further away, at the store or at the office, and walk in. Those little tiny breaks actually make a big difference in how you manage stress. So think about your eating habits, think about your resting patterns, and vary the kinds of stimulation throughout the day. If you've been sitting in front of your computer for 3 hours, get up, go outside, and look at the horizon. It's really an example of how you can alter your physiology and also gives your eyes a break. Much easier on your eyes and better for your health to change your focus from something up close to looking far away. So those are just some real simple types of tips. So that's our whirlwind overview of stress mastery for today. I was only able to touch upon just a few of the key concepts. If you are interested in taking the next step, I would strongly encourage you to do so. Stress is a huge, huge concern for us as individuals and in our organizations. And I am happy to talk with you. I have a table over here on the side, so would love to speak with you further about what you can do individually to build your resilience and master stress, and also what you can do for your organizations overall to build resilience into your organizations as well. Thank you so much.
I love these sessions that really show me what a mess I am. That was excellent. Thank you very much, Lisa. I really appreciate the information that you've provided, and there's a lot of self-revelation involved in this. So we'll move on to the next portion of our morning, and I'd like to introduce to you our MC for this portion, Mr. Lance Curry.
Great job, speakers, this morning. Thank you, Lisa. You appear to be somebody who's got a lot of self-discipline, and I admire that a great deal. So I am interested in looking up your information. Emily, wherever you are, you're out here somewhere. Yeah, there you are. I'm going to get your information too, because that just is something that I think a lot of people are interested in. My family is. We talk about that quite a bit. So excited to improve from this morning. All right, we're going to zip along. Now is the time for your 3-minute table networking. So I see there's a table with 6. You're just going to have to figure it out. But, what I want you to do is to take turns going around your table, start with somebody, and then you're going to just go around. Introduce yourself. What do you do? Give me your card, and let's start a relationship. Go. Okay, good job, everybody. I hope you've been able to make some quality relationships. These are people that you can follow up with, get some coffee with, build those relationships. At this time, let's move on to introducing new members since our last breakfast before hours. Representative from Office Depot, Reese Construction, Salacia LLC, and Sherwood Community Services. Please come on down. Come on down, come on down, come on down. Nobody's standing up. Does anybody want to be a representative from Office Depot? Reese Construction, come on down. Salacia LLC and Sherwood Community Services. Yep, come on down. So you got to kind of stand right next to the stage where the light's the brightest.
Good morning, everybody. My name's Linnea. I'm the copy and print supervisor at your local Office Depot here in Smoky Point. Everybody thinks we just do like copies. We do much more stuff. We do banners, we do signs, letterheads, shirts, apparel, custom yard signs, flyers, you name it. We can get it printed for you. If I can't do it locally, I've got lots of outsourced teams that will definitely help us get your stuff done.
Hi, my name is Jessica. I'm with Sherwood Community Services. If I have not met you yet, chances are you've met my fiance, Mr. 4-Day Fireplace, Eric Shaw. So I am with Sherwood Community Services. We're a nonprofit in Lake Stevens. We've been in business since 1957. We provide early intervention services to infants and toddlers, birth to age 3, speech therapy, motor therapy, physical therapy, occupational therapy, and then once they graduate from high school or an adult with a disability, they can come back and we can help find employment, resume, job coaching, job searching, and all that stuff. So if you're interested in finding more about respectful language, person-first language, becoming a supported employer, or what Eric's worst habit is at home, come and find me.
Wow. Maybe some follow-up on that one afterward. Thank you, ladies. Thank you very much. Welcome our new members. Okay, at this time, man, we're just zipping along. So now we've got the showcase tables. So a representative from Fallman Property Group, come on down. And also from Ideal Wellness, come on down. Or Emily, somebody there, Ideal Wellness. So if you have a showcase table, come on down and spend a minute entertaining us all with your amazing dance moves. Go, Todd.
You're next, Lance. You're next. Well, thank you, everybody. It's wonderful to be here, and I learned a lot today from both of our wonderful speakers. And on your tables today is something very, very special. And before you take a look at this little piece of paper, I want to, did you guys see what happened on the way in here? Did you get the news? You didn't? Well, today's a great day in real estate. Look all around you. It's wonderful out there, and what makes it even better is some of these really special offers that we have for you today. And these offers are not only for you here, Chamber members, but they're also for the people that you know, like, and love. So I invite you to take a look at this special offers that we have on each table. If you want to come and talk to us afterwards, we'll be right over there at a showcase table. Thank you very much, and make it a great day in real estate.
Thank you, Todd. Good job. Thank you, Todd. You get another minute.
Hello again. I'm Emily Countryman with Ideal Wellness. So just a reminder, we really specialize in workplace wellness. So if your company already is doing a wellness program, which it probably is, I would very much encourage you to come chat with us today about how you can also add to that program our weight loss program. So we can just add on to any wellness program that's already existing, and your company can save a lot of money and have happier, healthier employees. Thanks.
Good. Thanks so much. And if you want to sponsor a table, you can. It's really easy. Just call the chamber office and say, I want to sponsor a table or a showcase table. So it's real cheap, and you get a full minute to get up here and, like Todd did, some great moves. Or you can say great things about your company and get us all excited about amazing events on the way in today. That was really good. All right, and my name's Lance Curry. I have also a table over there with Edward Jones. My office is in Marysville. And I really like your presentation. People have 5 main stressors I've found in life financially. 5 main financial stressors. They are preparing for retirement, living in retirement, preparing for the unexpected, paying for education, and, oh dear Lord, saving money on taxes. So, you know, the good thing is at Edward Jones, we've got established processes to help build personalized strategies to help you reach your financial goals and not make them stressors anymore. I would invite you to help me take that stress from you. Call me today, or call Kathleen, and she'll go ahead and set up a time for us to meet, and we can begin that journey for you. So I look forward to meeting you. If you're a business owner and you want to save money on taxes, please talk to me today, and I can help you provide a great benefit for your employees. So. Hey, this is a good morning. Breakfast, man, you guys are on it today. Thank you. All right, let's move on. Roving mic for members only. So at this time, you have a great event. You want to shout out about another member. John's getting out of his seat. So yeah, just come on down and I'll give you the mic for a little bit. This is you to talk about somebody else.
Well, you are awesome all the time. Bringing the energy, making it happen, and so forth. Awesome. Hey, I don't actually want to talk about me. I want to talk about the Marysville Historical Society and a legacy, a pillar to our community who recently passed, Ken Cage. Marysville Historical Society was a dream, the museum, for many, many, many years. And Ken, we were on the chamber board together. He promoted it. He was, always at our meetings. The business before hours had plenty of calendars that we all won at some point in time. And we got a beautiful museum, an amazing legacy. And as business owners, what I suggest is check out the museum and look at it with a business owner's eye, because you can have events there. And we're in process. We're going to do an event for our company, for our clients this summer. But between Monday and Thursday, you can rent the place for a full day for $500. And as a business member, you can pay $250 as a business member and get $250 off of an event there. So it's still $500, but as a business member, I'm supporting the Historical Society. And future events there, 20% off. So you can actually get some value out of that. And it's a nice venue. It's large enough to hold, up to 120 people. They have 12 tables, round tables that can fit 8 to 10 people. Audio, visual, nice museum. And it'll bring more people there. It's a good location, more exposure, good parking. And so other people can check out this beautiful museum and maybe think about having their own event there. So Marysville Historical Society, check them out.
Okay, and also, I'd like people who are going to give away raffle prizes to go ahead and make your way to the stage. Come on down. So you want to make your way to the stage, and then we'll begin that after we do the shout-outs.
Good morning. I'm Donna Wright. I am also representing Marysville Historical Society, and you took part of mine. But also, we are our annual fundraiser is our annual spring tea, fashion show, and silent auction, and that will be on the 7th at 12:30. And I'll be giving a ticket in a minute here.
Okay, thanks, Donna.
Good morning, Kim Thompson with Prime Lending, and I just want to let you know of an upcoming event that is going to benefit Eagle Wings Disabilities Ministries. It is our Swap for a Cause. It's our 5th annual. So what it means is if you or somebody you know has some accessories that they are no longer in love with, but somebody else would love, it's like shopping in your girlfriend's closet. We get together on April 11th at Generations Community Church at 5:30, from 5:30 to 8. We have dinner, and then we swap our accessories. And there is no fighting allowed. That's not an issue. Tickets are $25. If you're interested, please see me. If you are not able to attend but would like to donate some items for the swap, also please see me. Kim Thompson with Prime Lending. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Tina Hudon with Daily Realty Group, local real estate here in Snohomish County. And everyone has one of these on their table. If you would look at this, I want to do a shout out for an event that we have coming up. It's called We Walk for Water. We Walk for Water is an event whose goal is to give 50,000 people around the world clean water for life. School groups across the country will come together for We Walk for Water. It's a global fundraising event to raise money to improve the access to clean water here in developing communities. Girls of Promise are groups from the Cedar Crest and the Totem middle schools here in our community, and the S Club is at Marysville Pilchuck. And we have partnered with the Seroptimus of Marysville and the YMCA. What we'd like to do is invite you to join us and help with an event that we have coming up with the Girls of Promise and the S Club We Walk for Water event on Monday, April 15th from 3 to 5 at the Marysville Pilchuck Commons. Please join us. Your donations to We Walk for Water is the fastest and easiest way to help these communities around the world who don't have access to clean water and to break the cycle of poverty. Every $25 donation provides one person with clean water for life. Isn't that crazy to think about when we have water so easily accessed for us? And so if any business can join us, that would be great, or make a cash donation. Working together can make a huge difference around the world. And also, if any business has any swag or any type of items that they'd love to donate to us, please see myself, Renee James, or Tina Tang, and we would love to use any of that for prizes that we're going to give out at some of our fun events. So thank you. Tina Hudon, Daily Realty.
Good morning, everybody. Ashley Bartholomew from the U.S. Bank in Smoky Point. Speaking of something stressful, buying a house, right? Buying a house, I'm in the middle of it right now because we're adding to our family. So something that U.S. Bank is offering, it is on Saturday, April 6th from 1 to 2 at the U.S. Bank branch in Smoky Point, is a first-time homebuyer seminar. So 1 hour, we'll have our mortgage officer there to talk about the process and the lending and what that goes. And Todd, with his awesome dance moves, will also be joining us there to talk a little bit Oh, we might make him, maybe. Will also be there to talk about the process on the real estate side of how to do that and how he can help alleviate that stress as well, and how we can help you with that also at US Bank to help that a more exciting and fun and joyful process, which is what it should be. So hopefully to see some of you guys, tell your friends, it's free, come 1 to 2 Smoky Point US Bank.
Thank you. Good job. You gotta come on over to the light.
Oh, to the light. Not the one light we were talking about earlier. Good morning, everyone. I'm Jody Runyon, Director of Engagement and Outreach with the Marysville School District. And I just want to remind everyone that Opportunity Expo is coming April 18th. That's from 8 o'clock in the morning till 1 o'clock in the afternoon at Everett Community College. We will be taking about 1,200 high school juniors to the event to teach them about business and industry, college and career. If you'd like to have a table to network with students, we'd love to have you there. Just send me an email. If you aren't sure about it this year and you want to come visit, please do. It's an amazing event. It's a great time to network. And I know there's a few people in the room that have participated. Todd is one of them. So I'm going to steal his line. It's a great day to be a partner with the Marysville School District.
Nice job. Thank you. Okay, we can get on to some raffle prizes. Donna, come on up. And the lovely Kim might be helping out. I don't know who's doing that. Here's the bucket.
Thank you. As I mentioned, our annual tea, and I have a teapot and a ticket to attend, so that's what we'll do.
You're doing great.
That's mine. Okay, here we go. Office Depot. Leanne?
There she is. All right, good job. Thank you, Donna. Nice job. Any more raffle prizes? Jessica, you doing one? Yeah. We get a raffle prize from Jessica. Oh, okay.
It's from the generous Tulalip Resort Casino for Journeys East. It's a $50 gift card to the fabulous restaurant. Harold Hayford from the Tulalip Resort Casino.
Nice job. Thank you. All right, any more? Yep, we got one.
Chris from 564IT. We help with technological woes and can provide managed antiviruses, patch management, troubleshooting, because like with life, it never hurts to be prepared. We have a very large bag of toilet paper for somebody. Steve's window cleaning. Matt.
Window cleaning. Matt. Yeah. Way to go. I love it. Never hurts to be prepared. I've got one too, and so I want to shine some light into your financial darkness. So that's, I guess there's no more to say about that. Hopefully I'll draw Donna's card. Let's see here. Dom, I think this is yours. It's got the PSC. Dom! Dominator! Amor, there he is. All right, good job, Dom. And I think you're coming up here, so we'll hand off. Thank you, sir. There you go. Good job, Dom.
Wow, not only do I get stressed out, but now I get to light up. Ooh, you can tell it's a Friday. Well, in closing remarks, really I want to just say thank you. Thank you for being here this morning. Certainly want to give a round of applause to today's sponsor, Ideal Wellness. Emily, thank you to you and your staff. I also want to say thank you especially to the Tulalip Resort Casino for the great service, delicious breakfast, and great staff. So thank you very much. Thank you to the Chamber volunteers and emissaries for all your help today. That definitely deserves a round of applause, if you will. And a big thanks to you, our members, for your ongoing commitment to the great business community and to letting us serve you. Upcoming events. I want to make a couple of announcements on upcoming events. Jersey Mike's at Marysville. Ribbon cutting is Wednesday, April 3rd, 3 o'clock to 4. The Marysville Brew and Cider Fest, April 6th at the Opera House. Tickets are on sale now, so please make sure you get your tickets for that. Our first membership orientation, Jessica alluded a little bit to that earlier today. Again, this is for all members, not just the new folks. April 23rd, you get to choose between 11 a.m. or a 4 p.m. time, but you also have to register online, so please make sure you do that. All attendees receive a complimentary ticket to the next Breakfast Before Hours, so that's also a big bonus. Next Breakfast Before Hours is April 26th, and once again, I want to say thank you for coming and have a great weekend. Thanks, Lance. You too.